It's Masters Week, everybody. It is Masters Week. Good morning, golf sickos. We've got a ton to get to today. This is, after all, our Masters preview show. We've got Jason Day on the show today. He's going to break down his preparation, obviously his outfits, which made quite a stir last year, what he's got planned for this year. We've got Scott Fawcett on the show, kind of a golf stats guru. He's going to give you a hole-by-hole strategic and statistical breakdown. Big show. We're going to get into all of that. But, you know, some Sundays giveth and some Sundays taketh. And I think we were probably overdue for a dud. We've been spoiled. We had the Players, which was epic. We had Rory versus JJ Spawn. Right after that, the Valspar. We had Justin Thomas and Victor Hovland. And then, you know, last week in Houston was a banger with Minwoo Lee and Gary Woodland and Scotty Scheffler. And then, you know, this week, maybe not as good. And this is the same thing as when he won at the Open at Royal Troon with Brian Harman. It's not a knock on Brian Harman. Not a knock on Brian Harman. I'm going to hit the honesty button here. I got a new honesty button. I'm going to hit it right now. That was probably the most dull PGA Tour event I've seen in a really long time. And let's roll the highlights. And shout out to my man Carl here for finding highlights. It was not an easy task. There wasn't much in the way of electricity. So we got Brian Harman here. He played the front nine in 3 over par. This was at 12. This was one of the very good shots, not that many, that he hit on the day. Made this putt from 14 feet. Give himself a little bit of a cushion. Walks it in. 2 ahead of Novak here. Then another birdie putt here, a 9-footer. Look, we're showing 9-footers for birdie. This was the most electric it got. There was a proposal. I think that was probably the loudest cheer we heard all day. Gets to 18. He's got a 3-shot lead. Hits his approach right into the middle of the green. Knows he's going to win the tournament at this point. You know, Brian Harman shot 75, so it wasn't like, you know, he lit the world on fire. It really never got close at all. The elements were a factor. It got pretty windy out there. It looked like it was pretty cold. You saw guys wearing jackets in Texas, which you don't see too often. But he cozied that one up to tap in range. Didn't do the aim point like Minwoo did back in the day. But yeah, Brian Harman wins his 4th PGA Tour event, first one since he won the Open Championship at Royal Troon. And Andrew Novak, who finished second. Love Andrew Novak. He's one of the few guys who wears relaxed fit pants on the PGA Tour, which I'm a huge fan of. Don't like skinny jeans. But I didn't love watching him leave every putt short, like every single putt short on the back nine. Can we look at this for a second? I mean, so here he was. I mean, this one's a little bit, but it's down the hill, and he had a chance to make a birdie here and put some pressure on. He left that one short. We're gonna go to the next putt, and I just want you all to be ready for this. He left this putt short. How do you leave this putt short? Difficult to do. He was very frustrated with himself. I like the relaxed fit pants, though. I do like the relaxed fit pants. And then this is going to really shock you guys, but he left this one short as well. So Andrew Novak, I'd like to see him get putts to the hole down the stretch. That was one thing that jumped out for me at this tournament. There was a, you know, Andrew Novak. If some Sundays giveth and some Sundays taketh, Andrew Novak giveth and he taketh as well. What I liked a lot more from Andrew Novak this week was the way he picked out targets. One very big chunky target in particular. Let's watch this clip.
I think if I cut it against, it kills it off speed.
I like that a lot.
There's like kind of fat guy out there, like a little right of him.
Yeah.
Like that tree trunk.
Yeah, I think
just aim it at the fat guy. Just aim it at the fat guy. You know, there's always one in the crowd. Good stuff. We did get to talk to Brian Harman after his win before he headed to Augusta National. Obviously, it's Masters. We're going to get to that very soon, I promise. Here's our chat with Brian Harman.
All right, I know it was a battle out there. Conditions were difficult. How would you describe the final round from your end?
Yeah, just I keep saying the same. It's like kind of a game of attrition, just brutal. It's hard to hit the ball solid. I mean, it was really cold this morning. Just knowing that, you know, you were going to run into some bogeys no matter kind of what you did. So had a tough hole 9, but made a couple birdies on the back 9, which helped me settle me down a little bit.
How would you describe, you know, it's your first win since the Open. How would you describe, you know, how your sort of life changed after that and how you've adjusted and now obviously playing fantastic golf again?
Well, certainly knowing, you know, you go through what I went through at the Open. It's like, man, how's it going to get any tougher than this? You know, it's just a brutal whole weekend. But this weekend was tough, man. It's just, you know, the golf is pretty slow. The course is big. The wind's blowing. It just feels like it just creeps by, especially when you have a lead. So just proud of the way that I hung in there and gutted it out.
Is there a part of you that almost likes when it gets really like gritty and tough? You consider yourself kind of a mutter?
I don't know. I keep hearing that. No, I wish it would have stayed no wind and sunny for 2 more days. Maybe I could have won by a few more.
So what do the next 24 hours look like? I know that, you know, when you win, there's a lot of stuff that happens after the tournament. Maybe you had to change your travel plans a little bit.
They got a sweet charter for us to Augusta. So they'll be waiting on me for a few minutes, but have a few beers with the boys tonight, and then we'll be right back to work in the morning.
Yeah, so you're from Georgia, went to Georgia boy. The Masters, you've had a good finish there, but it's been tougher in recent years. Do you have any idea why that might be?
Just haven't played well. I had the good year there and was really excited after that. I was like, man, I feel like I could win this golf tournament. I feel like I had a good chance on that weekend. I think that was 2021. 22 maybe. Yeah, I felt like I was rounding the corner there, and then I've just had 2 or 3 really bad years in a row there. But nice to be in some good form, so hopefully play a little better this year.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you down there. Safe travels to Augusta. Congratulations.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
A few more notes on Valero before we never speak of it again, I promise. Akshay Bhatia and Ludwig Åberg both missed the cut. Not ideal before the Masters. It's the thing about playing the week before the Masters. I get it. Like some guys, they don't want to make it into too big of a week. They want to treat it like a regular week. But then if you miss the cut, it's like almost a little bit of a crisis. I don't know. I'm a little concerned, especially because I picked Ludwig Åberg in my picks. He was my pick to win the Masters. He's missed back-to-back cuts. Not what you want to see. On the other hand, Jordan Spieth. Signs of life going to the place that started it all. Spieth finished tied for 12th this week. Finished really strong. Finished really, really strong. Started strong, finished strong. A little bit of patchy play in the middle, but there was a minute there where he couldn't finish outside the top 10 of Augusta if he tried. It hasn't been as smooth, but he did finish runner-up. I believe a couple years ago, a couple other top 10s, in addition to the win and the near win in 2016. So there will be a little bit of a few extra wagers, I would guess, will be placed on Jordan Spieth. All right, we're going to jump into a little segment called What Not to Do. So as you just saw, Brian Harman won the Valero Texas Open this weekend. And we got him to see him do everything right. And that gave me the idea we should look at someone who didn't. So it's time for What Not to Do, brought to you by What Not. Today's moment is from Thursday's play at the Valero Texas Open. On the 4th hole, Justin Rose was 3 under when he hit his second shot and did this.
No. That is a world-class shank right there. That's like put that one in the Louvre.
The slow-mo. Yeah. I mean, what makes it so great for me is the camera angle, kind of diagonal and to the right in the flight path of that missile. This was a proper shank. Probably not a great idea to do in a PGA Tour event. That is What Not to Do. If you haven't heard of What Not, it's a live stream shopping app where you can buy, sell, or auction anything and connect around the things you love. I went on their app looking for golf equipment, and they have everything. Head covers, shafts, clubs, bags, towels, grips, golf apparel, all kinds of accessories. One guy was selling Pro Vs for $42 a dozen, which is a great deal. They don't just have golf. There's over 250 categories, including sports cards, sneakers, electronics, sports, fashion, jewelry, and more. Scan the QR code for $15 to shop now. And for our audio listeners, click the link in the show notes and the Dan on Golf Instagram bio for your $15 to start shopping. Just $15, free money. Go shop at the season opener. It's a virtual live 2-day shopping event on What Not, April 9th to 10th. They'll be running shows all day long featuring unmatched deals and rare finds. All right, we're going to jump into the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround. I got the Brooklines today, just a classic shape. These will be with me all week on the grounds at Augusta National. Speaking of Augusta National, the Augusta National Women's... Oh, I forgot about the promo code. Can never forget about the promo code. If you go to knockaround.com, use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off these shades. These are $35. They're incredible sunglasses. They look great. They're amazing quality. And again, they are the right price. If you use promo code DanOnGolf20, knockaround.com, promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off. Make these less than $30. Okay, Augusta National Women's Amateur. I said it wrong. Augusta National Women's Amateur. I gotta say amateur this week. You can't say amateur this week. It's Augusta. It's amateur. You just notice that. Anyone on the grounds this week, amateur, just not allowed. And it's really become ANWA, so we got the ANWA. Anyways, Carlota Bernat Escuder won the tournament. The Spaniard, continuing Spain's rich history at Augusta National, shot 68 in the final round to win by one shot over 16-year-old Astrid Talley, who also shot 68, and she hit 16 of 18 greens. It was an awesome scene. She got a hug from Jose Maria Olazabal afterwards. Really good interview. Just enjoyed hearing her speak. She plays her collegiate golf at Kansas State. LIV Golf. All right. This was their big week at Doral. A lot of talk recently about LIV ratings. The CEO, Scott O'Neill, said, despite that 12,000 number or whatever it was in Riyadh, he said, 2.5 million people watched this around the world. Judge us when we're in the United States. They couldn't have asked for much more. They had a tournament in Miami at a Trump course, so a ton of attention there. For a while, you had Phil and Bryson and Rahm right up there near the lead, and a bit of a dud on the PGA Tour event, as we talked about. Very curious to see what the ratings do end up being. And the winner was Mark Leishman, now 41 years old, I believe he is. First time he'd won a tournament on his own ball in nearly 4 years. Had to make a gutsy up and down on the 18th for a one-shot lead. He was predictably very stoked after winning $4 million. Didn't get him to the Masters, but, you know, he won a lot of money. Here's Mark Leishman.
Probably some of my best golf I've ever played today. Especially, you know, coming off Singapore a couple of weeks ago, I think I beat 3 people. So, yeah, confidence wasn't overly high, but I knew things were looking pretty good. I was playing good golf and showed that today. So, I mean, to win out here, you're playing against tough fields every week, and I'm still letting it sink in.
Still getting that music going. Gets me going. LIV duels. So I guess I was expecting something different. They had 6 professional golfers with 6 creators. It was a big YouTube video, very good YouTube video with a bunch of amazing players for sure. I will say Bryson did not participate, which is very interesting to me because I feel like he's the YouTube guy and he's made a bunch of videos with Grant Horvat in the past. So there's definitely some sort of story there. They offered appearance fees, I believe it was said, and prize funds, which is how they got such a loaded field of creators. It was supposed to air on Saturday night on Grant Horvat's channel. It was filmed, it got to be before the tournament. There's no way they did it once the tournament started. So Thursday at the latest. It had to be postponed until Sunday. They were supposed to show it Saturday night, had to be postponed until Sunday morning because they couldn't finish the edit on time. I looked this morning, there were already 1 million views on Grant's channel. A ton of views, don't get me wrong. But he has a lot of videos that go over 1 million views. Yeah, it's just a very different product than the Creator Classic. I didn't really see any viral moments on social like we had with Trent or with FP. There's just a different energy when you're doing something live. They made a very, very big, very good YouTube video. Maybe that was the goal. I'm not sure. I think I was just maybe expecting something a little different. The winners of that was George Bryan and Sergio Garcia. It's all coming up. Sergio right now finished solo third. I had a tweet yesterday that if the Ryder Cup started tomorrow, I think you have to pick Sergio Garcia. Already has a win, a third place finish, a couple of their top 10s on LIV. He's trying desperately to make that next Ryder Cup team, which might be his last one. On the commentary on LIV duels, we had Andrew Santino, Joey Coldcuts, Bobby Fairways on commentary. It was more of just like a ride-along comedy type situation. It wasn't like a live broadcast, so they were just having fun the whole time. I did get a kick out of Santino giving FP some shit early in the week.
Yes, Andrew, do you have another question?
I don't, but I'm thinking about one right now. Rick, will you be British the whole time? FP, we played together. We owe him $20. You do remember that?
I owe who $20?
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't play with us.
Mason. Yeah.
Sorry, Mason did. I apologize. I get these guys confused. FP, could you put the mic by the stool for a second? Just put it down by the stool there. How are you doing, stool?
The guy makes jokes for a living. He's going to be good at that. On the PGA Tour Champions, we had Angel Cabrera winning for the first time since spending more than 2 years in prison for domestic assault. He'll make his return to Augusta National, having served hard time. I'm sure, there he is winning the tournament, won it by 2 shots. I'm sure that Fred Ridley will be asked about it. I'm sure Angel will be asked about it. Look, there's no doubt that Angel is a great player. He won 2 majors and lost in a playoff to win a third. He did some really awful things. And I'm curious to see what the Augusta National leadership says. I remember when Tiger returned after his scandal, he got reamed out pretty good publicly. We'll see if they have that same energy for, a crime that was far worse than adultery. We'll be paying attention to that for sure. Over on the Corn Ferry Tour, they were playing in Georgia this week. Frenchman Jeremy Gandon got the win. But what jumped out to me was Ryan McCormick. So Jersey guy, been on the Corn Ferry for a few years now. He's having a bit of a rough go this year. He showed up to the course with a piece of tape over his mouth. Now, my first thought was, maybe I'm just like an online podcast guy, was it's like a breathe through the nose thing, right? That's a thing. Breathe through the nose like when you're sleeping. Nope. He just wanted to shut himself up from complaining. Let's hear him explain it.
Been having not so fun time this year on the golf course. Pretty angry and mad, so I figured I've tried a lot of things. And I just figured I'd shut myself up. So I put tape over my mouth.
He just put tape over his mouth. Can't complain, can't moan to your caddy if you've got tape over your mouth. I might have to give that a try. And then finally, our last thing before we dive 2 feet into all things Masters, Max Moldovan, Ohio State graduate, got his first win on the PGA Tour Americas in Brazil in spectacular fashion, a walk-off eagle. We highlight all levels of the Pro Tour here. It's meant a lot to him. You know, you do well on PGA Tour Americas, you get to the Korn Ferry, you get to do well on the Korn Ferry, you get to the PGA Tour. So, just it's, you know, a win like that can change a guy's career. Just because you didn't hear about it, just because it wasn't on the PGA Tour, doesn't mean that it wasn't super important. Max Moldovan's a great player. I remember he's played in at least one U.S. Open, maybe a couple. All right, we are going to move into our first asset of our Masters preview show. We've got Jason Day. We're going to talk about strategy, about, you know, he's now playing 50-something majors. Does he still get excited? Talk about the Malbon, you know, the fits and stuff. Enjoy our Jason Day interview. I'm really excited about this by Mr. Jason Day, future Hall of Famer. That's what I called you when I caddied for you. Now golf YouTuber. Jason, you're about to make your 53rd start in a major championship. It's going to be your 14th Masters. Do you still get butterflies?
Oh, yeah, big time. I still get excited by it. I'm actually prepping the bus right now, getting it ready for it to go down, because I'm going down there tomorrow, flying down there tomorrow, get some prep in for, you know, Saturday, Sunday, after the women's Am, and then obviously after, you know, the drive, chip and putt. So it's always fun to go down there because it's just so unique. So such a special place. If you play it as a professional, it's just nothing like it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the bus. So this thing travels everywhere with you, and then it's basically like a home on wheels. Kind of walk us through how long you've been doing that and what you feel like the advantages of that are.
So 2010 was when I first started doing it. Now you got to understand, Dan, that I was before Airbnb, unfortunately. Okay. So I'm a little bit older than dust, as it feels like out here. But you know, I'm pretty much the only one that does any when I first started, we had John Daly and Davis Love. Those were kind of the guys. We had also like Zach Johnson and a bunch of the South African boys did it. There was, you know, a good, you know, any given week could be 10 to 15 buses, and now there's only one. I'm like the only relic left of an old kind that, you know, travel around in a bus. But like, I mean, there's so many benefits to it. Obviously, you can travel with you know, everything that you need for the year. You have your own bed. You have your kitchen. You have just is
there laundry in there?
Yeah.
So you don't have to pack ever.
No. I mean, if I say, hey, I'm going to wear this for the rest of the year, like I'll just pack it on the bus and yeah, I'm good to go. I don't have to pack anything else. You know, I'm putting my clubs on the bus, so I'm just going to be traveling light tomorrow. And yeah, it just shows up. So essentially, what happens is typically. I'm very blessed to be able to fly with NetJets. So when I finish a tournament or I'm out on the golf course on Sunday, the bus leaves, right, goes to the next destination. I go to the airport, drop off the courtesy car at the FBO. We jump on a NetJets flight, go to the next airport. Usually there's a courtesy car from the tournament waiting there. And then I drive to the bus and it's already set up, ready to go. And it's just like a moving like circus.
Last year, your outfits made quite a stir.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, because Steven was telling one of my coworkers that you basically dress yourself. So you just liked the sweater, put it on, and then someone kind of tapped you on the shoulder. Like, how did that go down?
Yeah, no, I kind of basically. I mean, I obviously with the help of Malbon, they helped me through the week. Some weeks I script myself, and some weeks they go, hey, we're gonna release something. We would like you to wear this, and I'm like, okay. And they were showing me the vest last year. Earlier before obviously Augusta, and they say, hey, what do you think of this? Oh, this is great. And not putting two and two together, where Malbon Golf Championship and the Masters tournament is kind of close to each other. We just put it on and they kind of went crazy. So
you were playing with Tiger, so I think there were a lot of eyeballs on you. Did you have any idea that it was going to go crazy, or did you get a sense?
I think I had a sense that it was going to go crazy just because it's just a little bit different. It's literally a knit vest, right? But it just said Malbon Golf Championship on it, 313 Malbon Golf Championship. And I think just that, because, and I've said to you before about, like, it doesn't take much to kind of stand out in golf because just everyone wears the same thing essentially. And for us to have just a different type of print, so obviously having, playing with Max Homa and Tiger was pretty huge for us to be able to do that. And that kind of propelled Malbon to, where, some of, where they are today, not just solely on me because, they have great ideas and everything, but that definitely helped put them in, in the right step, in the right direction. So it was cool.
And then someone from the club just basically tapped you on the shoulder and was like, hey, can you take it off?
Yeah, we got a call I think my agent got a call from high above and said, hey, we need Jason to take that vest off. And I walked in, as I'm walking in, because it's kind of cool. It was cool that morning because obviously we came back from a delay. And I came in, I saw Bud. I'm like, oh, he looks concerned for some reason. And like, very rarely do you ever see Bud concerned. And he's like, he right before I walked into scoring, he goes, hey, Augusta Nationals asked you to take that vest off. I'm like, oh yeah, no worries. Like, not a problem at all. Look, I'm not here to step on anyone's toes because I know that like when we go and play, the Masters, it's all about the Masters. It's about the tournament. It always has been about the tournament. So I'm just like, and the whole experience of Augusta is phenomenal. I just want to make sure that, I'm not trying to do anything that's too crazy or outlandish to disrespect the tournament. So I always just try and be as respectful as possible.
What do we got lined up for this year? A little bit less spicy?
If they would have let us do what we first put the scripting through to them, it would have been a lot crazier than last year. But it'll be a lot less toned down just because they have a little bit more. They asked to see the scripting before. See, the funny thing is that they've never asked to see scripting of mine because I've always been pretty, neutral and down the middle. And this year they asked because obviously what happened last year.
You are like kind of a style icon now on tour. I think it's when people, it's another sort of bullet point on your resume. Are you enjoying this new chapter?
You keep saying that. I kind of like teetering on the edge of, traditional golf and then taking it to the line and then bringing it back. So not too long ago we were wearing suits. Then that transformed into, I was actually, funny enough, we're talking about this. I was looking up Jimmy Demerit and, obviously who Jimmy Demerit is.
Old school. Yeah.
Old school. Like, some of his clothing was phenomenal. Like, I sent some inspirational stuff to Stephen yesterday about what Jimmy Demerit was wearing, and he was wearing untucked shirts at Augusta National, and which is kind of crazy because back in the day, obviously it was a lot more proper. But we're just you find inspiration everywhere, but for me to look at some of these old school guys and try and recreate some of that stuff. That's what we're looking for. And I never look at myself as a fashion person. I like kind of teetering on the edges and bringing it back and forth and going back to traditional and people going, he's kind of all over the shop with his style, which is great because I always like keeping people guessing.
I'm the same way. I wear monochromatic clothes out there and it's loose fitting stuff, and everyone's like, "What are you wearing?" And it's like, "Well, you're talking about it. It's better than if I was just wearing a pair of polyester pants." And you know what I mean? That's just boring. I wanted to ask you about your new YouTube channel, The Lads Golf. So I want to take credit because you asked me when I caddied for you if you started a YouTube channel if I would watch it. I said absolutely. I'm not the only one. Obviously, you don't it's not like a money play for you. So you're just enjoying it. What's behind it?
Yeah, so that was kind of it. Obviously, we would have practice sessions at home here in Ohio. Obviously, we obviously been where I live and all that stuff. So we have a facility at home, and we'd have chipping comps. And when we'd have chipping comps, we're giving each other a lot of banter. There's a lot of banter going around. And then it'd be really close chipping comps because all the guys that I played with are very good. I'm like, well, and we're always playing together. I'm like, that'd be fantastic to be able to just, kind of put on, video and just see if that would do any good here in the YouTube space. But one of the reasons why I wanted to start the YouTube channel was the ability to be able to pass along information. So things that I've learned over the 20 years that I've been professional, what got me to #1 in the world, certain things that, that amateurs kind of miss. We just recently put out reading lies and assessing your putting I realize now that people think putting is very, very boring on YouTube. So that's one thing that I understand. But like the reading lies, like out of the rough, that's something that people really enjoyed and liked. And for me to be able to kind of pass the information of like, okay, you know, if it's this lie, you got to do it this way. If it's this lie, you know, play it a different way. And the amateur, even to a certain degree, some professional golfers still struggle with all of it. My sense is like, I've got all this information. I'd love to pass it along to people. If it works out, and now granted, not my way is always the best way. So my goal with this is to be able to pass this information. The person that's watching it go through and sift through what they like and what they can actually put into their game, and disregard the rest. Because everything that I say may not suit you, Dan, as a golfer, but there might be one or two things that actually might improve you, and that's essentially what I'm trying to get to. So with the Lads channel, we're trying to obviously play fun games, you know, showcase these other lads that are really good golfers as well, trying to build this YouTube channel out because it's just fun to kind of build something together as a group of friends, and then also the instructional side of it as well.
We always hear about guys wanting to prep for Augusta, tailoring their prep for Augusta. What's one part of your game that you really feel like you need to have dialed in before you drive up Magnolia Lane?
Definitely short game. Not so much driving. You still need to drive it well around Augusta.
But it's kind of wide. There's no penalty shots. There's
only certain few penalty shots. You're thinking about 13. You're sitting there thinking about certain areas that you can't go. Like two, for instance, that bunker on the right, so it's lay up immediately. And then if you lay up short of it or hit it long, at least you got a chance to get to the green. So like 5, you hit in those bunkers left, lay up immediately, you're bringing in bogeys. And it's very difficult to make par from those bunkers. So there's certain parts of the golf course. Now, it's funny, like Augusta, there's always one shot a hole where you have to sack up. You have to like bear down, focus, get through it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, it makes playing the rest of the hole really, really difficult. You know, like one, for instance, you hit it left, you're hitting a low hook out of the pine trees, and most of the time you're probably not going to get on the green. You hit it right and you get it up a lip, you're laying up. So you got to like kind of get yourself into position, and whether that's, you know, a second shot, it's usually typically a second shot golf course. You cannot short side yourself around Augusta. But if you position yourself really, really well tactically, and you play it the way that not everyone plays it, but for the most part, the way that suits you, and then the way because you can't be aggressive around Augusta. You try and be aggressive around Augusta, you'll miss a cut and have an early week. So that's being very tactically sound in your course management is huge, and then having a really good short game and putting. Yeah,
you're playing very solid this year, but we talked about when I caddied for you that you were a little bit impatient almost at having not won, and you know, a year stage of your career with all your wins and your major championship. You know, it almost feels like it's you want to win so badly. Does the game feel like it's in a good enough chance to win a major next week?
I don't know. I think I would say that there's things that need to be improved, but golf is a funny sport.
Victor won, and he said he had no idea where the ball was going.
Yeah, the Friday after he played or something like that, and then all of a sudden he's flushing it. And that's why golf is a funny sport, because I remember winning Wells Fargo in 2018, and I had it on a string. Like I couldn't miss a shot the first 2 days, and then I got into the weekend and missed every single shot, but just had a really good short game and got around with it. So, yeah, I would love to be playing a little bit better, and I have played good, but obviously I'd like to play. Everyone would like to play better, but you just never know, because you could come into a week where you've had a good rest. You come in mentally prepared, and you're physically ready for the tournament, and then you just find something on the range, or you find some good feel, and then confidence switches on a dime really, really quick. So I would say that I'd love to be playing a little bit better, but going into a major, you just never know. You just got to, just kind of get yourself in around there. I know that like 12, 13 under usually wins around Augusta. So if you can shoot 300 a day, and kind of have that like a goal mindset of like, okay, I just got to make sure I try and keep myself around there. You might.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a breakdown of Scotty. I think he was, other than the par fives, he's only in his career under par. I think it was on the 9th hole and the 3rd hole, maybe. It's like you really just got to take care of the par fives and then make pars on most other par fours and all the par threes, and you're gaining shots.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's obviously when we talk about it, you're parring 1, you're birdieing 2, you're potentially birdieing 3, parring 4, you're parring 5, you're
parring 6, parring 7.
7 is a funny one. You get a good drive, and that one location that's in the bowl, that's one birdie chance that you can potentially get. 1 out of 4 times.
Right, but I was going to say, if you par it 4 times, you're picking up, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But there's one opportunity there. The rest, you're like, okay, I'm going to par. 8, you're birdieing. 9, there's a good chance of birdieing that one, but like for the most part, you're parring.
10 par, 11 par, 12
11
par.
Yeah, exactly. 12, you par. 13, you birdie. 14, there's a good chance of birdieing. 15, there's a good chance of birding, but there's also a good chance of making double or triple.
15, they've made so much harder. I liked it before. I got to be honest. I feel like most guys, unless they had a club they could get some spin on, like aren't going for it anymore. If it's a 5-wood.
I don't like having to hit a 3-wood into that green, and not many guys would do it. The only way that you could potentially get away with, because it has to be a perfect number. And you got to understand that you're so elevated, and if there is wind like moving around, there's enough wind there. So say, for instance, coming back into you, there's enough wind. So if you are in an elevated position, let's say, for instance, you're flat on a flat piece of ground and there's 10 yards of wind that's hurting. It's going to pull up short 10 yards. But if you're in an elevated position like 15, it's probably going to hurt at 15 or more yards because it takes longer, obviously, the ball get down. Then you're hitting into a really small, narrow green, and then it slopes back down towards the water at the back. So if you don't like have a good record of hitting that green in 2, it's very difficult to hit that green in 2. So you got to really position yourself well on the par 5s, and that way, if you can birdie them from either a wedge distance or even 13, for instance, if you don't have a good number there, you're laying up. You got to trust, because the par 5s, especially on the backside, are the things that are the 2 holes that are going to pull you out from potentially either winning a tournament or losing a tournament.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Shout out to the human body, because my bruise has healed. That was in record time. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate.
Could listen to that guy talk about golf all day long. Another guy who I really enjoyed listening to talk about golf is Scott Fawcett. So he's the creator of Decade Golf. If there's a player under 30 on the PGA Tour or over 30 on the PGA Tour, they are almost certainly familiar with Scott's work. He's basically turned golf into a series of, or tried to at least, mathematical decisions. Like there's a right answer and a wrong answer on club selection and where to aim. If I had to summarize it, it's like you want to avoid penalty strokes at all costs and then send driver where you can and then reassess. He's big on like every shot is individual. You got to reassess after everything. But some guys will have a decade chart where they, if they're in at a certain distance or they have 9-iron in and the pin is, 3 paces off the left and there's water on the left. Okay. Then you move it 3 paces left and your dispersion's this wide and your dispersion's a cone. It's not a straight line. You're going to get more of this in this breakdown here. So it's a strategy system that college players all learn. It's one of the reasons young kids aren't dumb anymore. One reason that, these young kids come out on tour and they're ready to win. So we go hole by hole through Augusta. We're going to break this into 2 parts, pretty meaty stuff. Here's the first half of our statistical breakdown of Augusta National. All right, I'm joined by Scott Fawcett, golf statistician / strategist. What's the best title for you?
Yeah, I've got problem solver in my email tagline. The funniest thing I've ever done is when I did a segment with Golf Central, and they literally just had problem solver as my title, and I'm like, guys, that's a joke.
It's a joke, yeah. No, I have a lot of different titles. Golf journalist, golf whatever. But my favorite one is there was a release that came out. I have a small role, like a cameo in the new Apple TV show with Owen Wilson about golf, and they called me golf enthusiast. So I'm going to go with golf enthusiast. Okay. So we're looking at this decade packet. People probably know your story. You've been doing this for a long time. Very established name in the golf course strategy world. Creator of Decade, which is an amazing course management system that a bunch of tour pros use. So you do these packets every week. And how many do you send out, would you say, like on an average tour week?
When I was really doing it, which was just before the pandemic, went lockdown, and then personally with my own game turning 50, I try to distance myself from it now, but at some point I've set it to about a third of the PGA Tour. I mean,
got it. Yeah.
So these 60 guys on tour I've worked with in some form or fashion, or had the app, and I've sent the packets to and whatever. So I went through the Masters current field. There's 26 guys in the Masters that I've worked with.
Got it. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little statistical breakdown of Augusta National. It's funny. There are so many, because it's the one major championship that's at the same course every year. So there's all these sort of like old adages and axioms about how to play the course. And what I like about your work is you don't give a shit about those. Like, you don't give a crap about like, oh, if it's for you got to play it right to left, or on this hole, you got to do this. So we're going to go through the course through your eyes.
Absolutely.
All right. So talk to me about the first hole.
Number one, it's about 290 to the bunker. And, it's going to be 310 plus to carry it. It gets pretty narrow past the bunker, and you can use the bunker as kind of a catcher's mitt, but the fairway's pretty wide just short of it. So most of the guys in the field, if it's into the wind or cold, can't really get to the bunker anymore anyways. But for the most part, if you can cover it, it's pretty tight. So most guys should just be laying it up short of that bunker.
Got it. So we go short of the bunker, and then as far as the approach, it's just your system, wherever the pin is.
100%. And this is what's funny is people always think historically, especially at a place like Augusta, you want to try to leave this putt or that putt. And you've really got to think of shot patterns as like a shotgun blast. And so even if we just use like my microphone as the pin, like it doesn't matter where you're aiming relative to it. Some of the shots are going to leave you that putt. But if you're trying to intentionally get that putt, you're just adding too much distance on your overall proximity. And that's a net negative. So and this is what's weird for Augusta. For the most part, I really don't take slopes and ridges into consideration. And I definitely don't take trying to leave a certain putt ever into consideration. We want to be getting it as close to the hole as we can within the constraints of the shots.
So we go to number 2. They move this tee back into the left, trying to, I think, entice guys to hit a draw. But I'm looking at your packet, and you said, I typically don't like players trying to move the driver the opposite direction of their preferred shot shape. So what's the play here?
I mean, this hole you need to pretty much draw it on. And so this is why I'm the founding member, captain of Team Mini Driver. There's just not a hole you need 3-wood on at Augusta. I mean, if you got 3-wood into 15, you shouldn't hit it. You should lay up. And so really there's nowhere else you need it. So Mini Driver is the club. I mean, I even told TaylorMade, I asked TaylorMade 5 or 6 years ago now for like 10 or 15 Mini Driver heads. I told them I'd get them into the hands of somebody. And they literally told me, it didn't sell very well the first time. We don't want it out there. And so I bought every Mini Driver for sale on eBay and got them into guys' hands. And now it's funny when you see the resurgence, because literally TaylorMade told me no. But this hole, 9, 13, 5, there's just so many holes that having a Mini Driver instead of dropping all the way back to 3-wood is a huge gain. It's 20, 30 yards. And on this hole, it's the difference in getting it to run down the hill or not. So
why Mini Driver over just normal driver? Because the drivers are hard to turn over?
It's not that. Yes. So this is a Sasho-ism. Modern drivers, the further the center of the mass is off the shaft, the harder that club is to drive, which intuitively, as a guy without a physics brain, makes sense. But Sasho, the actual physicist in the game, has established that, which is why pretty much everybody not named Bryson or Rory that hits it hard fades it.
Yeah.
And I used to think, as a guy who hits it hard, it's because we're kind of holding on to it or just clearing or whatever. It's just the way the driver works. Bryson's able to draw it because of having the weakest grip possible, and he's trying to snap hook it. And Rory's just a unicorn, so I can't even explain what that guy does. But for the most part, it's why Zalatoris I think it was the year he finished second, he was down there in the left, down there by the junk. I'm not sure still if he tried to draw that one or just caught the trees, but there's not enough room really to play a fade on that hole. So it needs to be turning over.
The last paragraph here, use patience and discipline on this hole to ensure you get 4 good looks at birdie instead of attacking too much in hopes of eagle. There was only 1 eagle in all of 2019. It looks like there were 7 eagles last year. So I think when you write that, you're saying don't get too aggressive, basically.
No, I mean, everyone's like, I want to get a look at 3. And it's like, how about just making an easy 4? I mean, a scoring average of 4.66 kind of implies the hole is easy, which you would think would mean we had a few more eagles, and then it's not. It's just a whole bunch of relatively mundane, easy 2-putt birdies.
All right, 3, it's our first sort of good decision.
3 is why I quit Twitter. Finally. 2023, arguing with Colt for 3 straight days about hitting driver on this hole. He said in the broadcast, I don't understand why all these guys are banging driver up there just short of the hole. You should just be laying it out there to 100 yards. Well, 100 yards is it's 25 yards between the trees and the bunkers. You don't get to just place it at 100 yards. And so if you're going to lay it up, like that's the old golf adage that is correct. If you're going to lay it up, lay it up. And so this hole, if you're going to drop back, you got to drop back to like 130 or 140. The left edge of the green, which is the one that everyone gets concerned about with hitting driver, it's only 11 yards deep over there. You're just not going to have enough distance control to not wind up long and dead or short and going back to where your tee shot could have been. So if you can carry the bunkers, which depending on the conditions and wind and everything, pretty much most of the guys on tour can do now. It's maybe 285 or 290, 285 probably. You should just be sending it up there. But the key to golf, I mean, I literally just finished an 1.5-hour webinar with a big college golf coach. The key to golf is being able to reassess after every shot. So yes, on this hole, sure, we want to get a look at birdie, whatever. But we want to send it up there, and then we want to reassess. Ooh, you know what? I'm left with the pin left. This is a bad spot.
Let's get it on the green.
Get it on the green, 2-putt for par. I actually have the scoring average wrong here, 4.93. I'm sure it was 3.93. But the majority of years before, air quotes, decade, before data, this hole played over par. And that was always the funniest argument to me is people like, man, short hole, you got to get a look at birdie. I'm like, I don't know. Par picks up on the field average, which is by definition how you win a golf tournament is by beating the field average. So like par is actually a great outcome on this hole. It's similar to 10 at Riviera. Scoring average is always over par on that hole. Like, dude, just make a par.
Right. It's like, but bang it down there, figure it out. You'll be able to get on the green most likely. You might not be able to get it, to 5 feet, but you'll be able to get it to 40 feet.
Any game or sport technically has strategy, and all strategy is math-based. And so what you've got to think about is like the tee shot is the flop in poker. So, man, I've got 2 great cards here. The flop comes, fireworks are going off in front of me. Uh-oh, this isn't good. Let's reassess. This hole, man, I'm going to hit driver up here. Maybe I drive the green. Awesome. But you know what? I hit it left. This is not good. Let's reassess. Let's play with the new information and make better decisions moving forward.
Well, it's an interesting, like, you said poker, my mind went to tilt, where I feel like a lot of times, like you're on a hole like 3 and you think, okay, this has got to be a birdie opportunity. And then you hit a bad shot and you're on tilt and you're like, oh, fuck, I got to jam a flop shot in there to try to, to kind of earn it back. And you got to be able to sort of meditate and make a new decision. All right. 4 is a par 3, 5. They've made this hole tough in the past couple of years.
Oh, man, it's a monster now. I mean, it really is. Those bunkers are just dead. I mean,
dead. I remember Tiger. I think when Tiger won, he hit it in the bunkers all 4 days and made bogey all 4 days.
Yeah. I mean, they're just absolutely dead. The lips, I don't want to say they're too big, but it's not a one-shot penalty because you do get to advance the ball out of it. But the key to all of it is taking your medicine. I mean, again, that's an old cliche that is so spot on. It's unbelievable. So, but this one, do we want to be hitting a fading driver up there? Well, again, as you look at the geometry of it coming in, if the course has any speed at all, to avoid the bunkers left and keep it out of the short rough at Augusta right, probably needs to be turning over. So this is another perfect spot for a DJ mini driver, just roaster.
Mini driver, man. Your team mini driver. 6 is a par 3, 7. This hole's a shoot.
Again, the key to tee shot strategy is what's the alternative and what does it accomplish? So dropping back from driver to 3-wood here or mini driver, still super tight.
Yeah, it's not like it's wider. Yeah,
it's not like it's wider. The hole is, it's 450. So dropping back to iron now leaves you, 200 or a little bit more into a pretty demanding green. That's a bad idea. So you know what? This one, you just suck it up and send it. And as you can see, the year that Jordan, part of the main thing that I talk about all the time is winning requires luck. When Jordan won back in 2015, he hit it out to the right and he wound up with a perfect hallway to the green. That's what the image is in the bottom of the packet. And literally, if that ball is 3 feet right or 3 feet left, that hallway disappears again because of the geometry of it. It just totally disappears. So he got pretty darn lucky on this hole that, he hit it right and he hit this shot like a 7-iron from the middle of the fairway to 10 feet. It's pretty convenient. I mean,
yeah, no, this is one of those holes in major championship golf where you just got to sack up. Like you got to hit it, and whoever's playing the best is going to have the advantage.
And it's also a deal where let's pretend we're playing this hole 4 times. Hitting at the difference in the fairway of 2 versus 3 times is a huge outcome, and just happening to hit 3 good drives on this hole instead of 1 and flip-flopping them with 8 or whatever other hole, like you just happen to hit 3 good tee shots on this hole. I just consider that kind of fortunate. So like, yes, you're correct, sack up, but it's also just playing the cards right.
Yeah. All right, 8. Got to keep it left, right?
Sure, but do we want to be in the trees left? Like that's just as bad as the bunker. You're not getting home from either for the most part.
Right. So I think this is actually a good example of like what you teach. So I think the old school adage here would be like aim it left, sort of left edge of the fairway, right? Give yourself distance from that bunker, but tell us why you don't like that.
No, the bunker's in play. I mean, again, if we go back to thinking of our shot pattern now with tee shots, instead of being more circular, it's more of like a long, flat oval. It doesn't matter where I aim it. Some of the shots are going to hit the fairway. Some are going to hit the bunker. And if you think of like Venn diagrams overlapping, we're talking about the delta in our actual, when I say targets, I'm just meaning the center of our shot patterns. If I move my shot pattern 10 yards further left, the amount of balls I'm hitting in the fairway, it really doesn't change. And it's hard to imagine, but it doesn't. All we're doing is instead of hitting my misses in the bunker, I'm now putting them in the trees left. I know it's great. Like I want to step up here and hit a great shot right where I'm pointing, but you should just be aiming barely left of this bunker. And the key is then you're actually trying to hit it there. And you know that about half the time you're going to miss it left of it, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And about half the time you're going to miss it right of it, and you're going to be in the bunker. Okay, cool.
Advance it as far as possible on the second shot, but do not take any excess risk just to get it 30 yards closer. Explain that to me.
You've got to get this ball hooking. I mean, it's got to be turning pretty hard. And so if you're a guy that's not great at that, trying to hit some snap hook and then winding up short left, which is always a pretty hard up and down coming up over that hill, or we could wind up with some tree trouble. There's just a lot of pretty easy pitches from out there to the right. And so I want you to advance it. So from the bunker, if you're in there, like, and you can, man, I might be able to get a 3-iron over this lip and get it up there 20 yards short of the green. Would you just get a 5-iron over the lip for sure and be 50 yards short of the green? Like, we cannot leave balls in the bunker.
No, that's death.
If you hit it in the left trees, you can't leave it in the left trees or try to be too aggressive out of there. It's just.
Well, that's one thing about Augusta is there's not that many, like compared to the players where there's penalty strokes everywhere. There's not really penalty strokes out of Augusta if you're disciplined and if you can avoid like leaving it in the trees.
Yeah. You're 15 is about the only place that you've really got some penalty. I mean, I guess 11 too, but that's
all right. 9. You like mini driver here again? Why not driver?
No, I'm cool with driver.
Just you are.
Yeah. Cool. Oh yeah. And again, this one
sort of similar to 7 tee shot wise.
Well, this one historically people would back in the day they definitely tried to work the driver 2 ways. And maybe they could do it better because the center mass wasn't as far off the shaft. I still don't think it was a good idea. The best drivers of the golf ball, like Nicklaus, hey, he faded it. Couples, hey, he faded. I mean, like you kind of know what shot shape the best players hit. And I don't think they deviated from it as much as we probably think. But this hole, you can hit a fade on. There's not trees in the way on the left that just make it mandatory. It'd be cool if you draw it, but it's certainly not mandatory.
Yeah, meaty stuff there. Meaty stuff there. You're a golf sicko. If you're watching the show, you're a golf sicko. We feed you the golf sicko stuff. All these cones, these breakdowns, these satellite images. All right, we're gonna break it up. We're gonna go into Give Me a Winner. It's really Give Me Winners this week with my main man, Rick Gehman. He maintains his perfect streak. The only guest who's been on every single Dan on Golf. Rick, what's up, man?
Dan, it's good to see. I can't wait for you to get down here. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm in Augusta. I'm here.
Full rain out today?
Yeah, they shut it down a couple hours. They got a couple hours in this morning, but I think 12:30 Eastern, they took everybody off the course.
Yeah. So this is like the Super Bowl. So we got a lot of picks coming from you. How people have their office pools. This is a big week for text messaging. Yes. Your friend who knows golf. Is your phone just like blowing up from everybody you've ever met in your life?
Yes, lots of emails, lots of text messages. Hey, I've got to pick 3 golfers, and they have to be from these different tiers of the OWGR, and one has to be LIV, and one has to be a past. Yes, all of that. I'm never surprised anymore with the amount of variations of these types of pools and contests that go on.
Yeah, well, we're very lucky because we're gonna make them public. And everyone, if you're asking Rick, just watch the show. Here are his picks. All right, give me a winner from sort of the A pool of players of the sort of 5 favorites.
Yeah, so I kind of went back and forth on this. The way that I really started to build the sheet here was I had a short, a middle, and a long, and then I kind of thought that was me just making picks for entertainment purposes, because I really think there's like very few guys that can win this golf tournament. So we'll start with Scotty Scheffler. He's plus 450, plus 470, depending on where you're going. I have a lot of great nuggets for you today, Dan. First and foremost, his first 5 Masters appearances are basically one of the best first 5 trips to Augusta National in the history of the game. Jordan
I was going to say Spieth has got to be up there.
Spieth is number 1. Scheffler's like 5th, and then you get a bunch of guys who their 5th year was like 1954 and stuff like that, right? It's like nothing modern. And I think the way that not only he is able to separate himself from tee to green, Dan, but the way that he's got Ted Scott on the bag, I think that nobody plays strategically. You know, just had that great front nine with Scott. You know, nobody plays Augusta National better than Ted Scott and Scotty Scheffler do right now. So I'm not going to overthink this. The guy at the top of the board is Scotty Scheffler for a reason.
But we want to take, again, it's Masters Week. We don't want to have, just one guy we have all our baskets in. So give us a couple more guys you like to win.
Yeah, so we'll go Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas here. So they're 22, 24-1. I think that all things considered, Xander Schauffele is probably the most valued.
Okay, that's big. Well, that's big. Yeah, I want to make that clear to everybody. If I could give you one pick to win with the odds, you're saying Xander is the value.
It's Xander, right? Yes. He has started playing major championships since 2018. The Masters in 2018 was his first major. He has finished inside the top 10 in half of his major championships. Since then, the 2024 campaign that he had was like the 6th best major championship season in the Tiger era. So that's since 1997. He's coming off of a Valspar championship in which he gained 11 strokes on approach. It's not only the best approach week he's ever had, Dan, but it's also the best approach week that any golfer has had anywhere in the world this year.
Wow.
So I'm ready for Xander now. The rust is off. He gets here. He plays well. The Justin Thomas stuff is pretty interesting. I think if you would have asked me on January 1st who wins the Masters, I probably would have said Justin Thomas, and I don't have any reason to go away from that. He's picked up 10 strokes putting in his last 2 starts. He's back to being a world-class ball striker. He will go as far as the putter allows him to. That's really the thing with JT this week.
All right, then top rookie. This is always a fun one. There's a bunch in the field. Not as good as a group as there was last year. I remember last year, I think it was Ludwig was 4th in the world and Wyndham was 6th, or maybe vice versa. But 2 amazing rookies. This year, it's kind of Mav McNeely, Max Grazerman, Taylor Pendrith. Tell me who you like to win top rookie. I don't think we have the odds yet.
Yeah, we just got them.
Okay,
so
great.
I sent them over to your team. They are 7-1. It's Aaron Rye. I don't know if we got it in time for the graphic here, but you're right. Very astute that this is not nearly as good of a class of debutantes that we have seen. I think Maverick McNeely and Aaron Rye are basically the 2 best players, and I'm not sure it's particularly close. So I went with Aaron Rye here. I think the way that he is able to strategize golf courses, the way that he is able to ball strike his way around a lot of different places. I don't think it's a perfect spot for him. I would like him on some more tree line, Sedgefield type places. You can get a touch wild around Augusta National. I don't think this is the perfect spot for him, but compared to the rest of his peers and the way that he plays, I think he's still the best debutant. 7-1 is the number there.
All right, if we want to get a little sadistic, if we want to root for someone to maybe not play so well, a little miss the cut bet, who we got?
I feel so bad about these, but it's Sam Burns.
Okay.
Sam Burns has been bad. I mean, he is lost. He's losing strokes on approach in like 9 of his last 11. He's missed 3 consecutive cuts. That was the Players Championship, the Valspar, and then he had a chance. He was inside the number on the 36th hole at TPC San Antonio, like duck hooks one left, finds the water, can't extract himself, like ends up making an 8 there and going home early. It's just like the dude is unfortunately in a pretty bad spot, and Augusta National hasn't been pleasant to him either.
There's a lot of guys who I feel like are in bad spots. Sam Burns, I mean, we would put Hovland in that category not too long ago, but Max Homa, Matt Fitzpatrick, Cameron Young, a lot of big names are suffering. All right, cut score. This is a fun one.
Yes. This is a fun one because of the cut rules. So this is a larger-ish field for the Masters. I mean, in some recent years, we've had like 70 some odd guys. So you're going to get everybody within top 50 in ties, then everybody within 10 shots. This might be a pretty big cut number in terms of how many guys don't make the weekend. So I'm taking the under 148.5. So the way that ends up being is I think the cut score is going to be 4 over or better. Dan, there's like 3 inches of rain that just came down here. Yeah, I think the first couple of days, yeah, it's going to play long, but I don't think length is a detriment to a lot of these guys. The better thing will be the receptive greens. I think that at least for the first couple of days, they're going to have a little bit of an easier time out here before they get kind of crushed over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, that is true. If you make those greens softer, it makes the effective green size a lot larger. Correct. And they're going to be pure. They're not going to be bumpy. So if it's if they're still rolling good and it's soft, I like that. All right, a matchup. One guy versus another guy. It's a fun one to take for Masters Week.
Yeah, 4-round matchup here. So we're going Jordan Spieth over Brooks Koepka. Jordan Spieth has given us just the right amount of excitement over the course of the last couple of months. I don't have to describe to anybody who is watching this show the nature of Jordan Spieth at Augusta National. I swear he probably has 3 or 4 green jackets, but Wikipedia it tells me it's only one.
It's crazy.
I'm stunned by that, but love the way he's coming in. He's still trying to marry what he gained statistically in 2024 when he was dealing with the wrist injury, the great driver, but struggled in some of the short game categories, with now being healthy again and maybe one of the best putters of all time. So he's getting very close here. And then Brooks Koepka just has not shown much signs of life here in 2025. I think Jordan Spieth would be a pretty good matchup against a lot of guys, and the one against Koepka makes a lot of sense.
I shudder at betting against Brooks in majors. Brooks. I know.
It's just scary. Well, he wins or he finishes T45, right? I mean, outside of the victories, he doesn't have like a lot of high-end finishes like a Xander Schauffele does, like a Rory McIlroy does. So I think in a matchup scenario, it's a little bit. You're right. I am terrified. Like if Brooks is in the mix, I'm terrified.
I just feel like he's going to shoot 5 under on Thursday. And we're going to be like, oh god, here we go again. All right, I asked you to pick a prop bet. What'd you come up with?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of good options here. I like Robert McIntyre, top lefty. The one that I ended up settling on is yes to an ace.
Okay.
And there are a lot of varieties of these. You can go hole by hole. You can go round by round. This encompasses everything. So we get the full 4-day sweat here for an ace to be made. Now, it's a little bit of juice you got to pay for. It's minus 160. We're on the side of this being a favorite. The likely scenario is this gets done at 16. Again, I'm thinking earlier in the week you get a little bit of the more receptive greens. Later in the week, you hopefully get one of that famous ace pin position that we get on 16 and somebody rolls one in. So this is really a lot of the attention being focused on 16, a lot more difficult to make an ace at those others. But I think course conditions and listen, you don't want to root for no aces.
Yeah,
you want to root for aces here.
That's like betting an under in a football game. It's like everyone that's, you're just nervous the whole time. It's just like you're taking bullets. All right, top 10 finish.
Yeah, Corey Connors. And
I thought you said no one makes money on Corey Connors.
I think I said everybody makes money on Corey Connors top 20.
Okay, so just not to win.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I would never bet him to win. But here we go again. This is a top 10 market where you're getting 4.5 to 1 on Corey Connors, who has now finished inside the top 10 in 3 out of his last 4. A little bit of it's hard to call it a down week, but he was one of the favorites last week at the Texas Open, and he still finished T18. His tee to green numbers, Dan, are just absolutely bonkers. He's picked up 7 strokes from tee to green in each of his last 4 starts, and his history around the Masters, pretty good. He had those 3 consecutive top 10s from 2021, 2022. He's only missed the cut once since 2019. I think that he's playing arguably some of the better golf of his career. And Augusta National, it's not TPC San Antonio for him, but it definitely skews like on the better end of the spectrum for Corey Connors.
You know what I also like about Corey Connors this week? He hits it right to left. Not a lot of right-handers hit it right to left. Right. So it's going to help him on 2. It's going to help him on 10. It's going to help him on 13. All right, I call this the good week bet. Someone to finish in the top 20. Bring us home.
I'm a sucker for Patrick Cantlay.
You are. You picked him last week.
God, I can't. He was the guy led the field in strokes gained approach last week. He had so many opportunities. I think I watched him miss 5 or 6 putts inside of 5 feet. He was miserable with the putter last week. He didn't chip it particularly well. I tend to see something like that and say that there is a there is a lot of room for improvement, right? Patrick Cantlay, notoriously a very solid putter who does not miss 5-foot putts at major championships. He's like the king of the backdoor top 10, kind of he'll play 3.5 really good rounds. He'll fade a little bit. I'm only asking him to finish inside the top 20 here. Even if he doesn't putt well, Dan, I think that there's a path for him. Again, 95 now that VJ withdrew, 95 person field where Patrick Cantlay finishes inside the top 20 at plus money. So yes, I'm a sucker, but I'm lowering my expectations.
Joey LaCava, he's got some magic at Augusta National, talking about the caddies. There you go. All right, well, I'll see you down there. We're doing a show tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
All right, see you then. Thanks,
travels, buddy.
See you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Sugarloaf Social Club is on fire lately. This is Sugarloaf. It's a little there's a little green action. Everything they make is just surprising and fun and quality. They've got you covered head to toe. Literally, they sell hats and socks, and they're more than an apparel brand. They've got head covers, grips, anything else you could think of. It's like a bat signal for the golf nerd in your life. Sugarloaf Social Club is a safe space for the golf sicko. Their latest drop featured a collab with Trellis Coffee Bar, an awesome coffee spot right here in Augusta. They're always doing something surprising, unique collabs, and they've got big things coming up. Their drops sell out quickly, so make sure you subscribe to their email list, follow their Instagram, and join their broadcast channel to never miss out. People always saying, oh, it's always sold out. Well, not if you listen. If you listen, you're going to get it. Sugarloaf Social Club almost never discounts their stuff, like hardly ever. And yes, some stuff is probably sold out, but they're letting us give 10% off on your first order made this week. Just use the code DanOnGolf at checkout. Exclusions apply. Check them out at sugarloafsocialclub.com. Code DanOnGolf at checkout. Exclusions apply. We're going to bring on a recurring guest, do a little live Q&A, Masters-themed Q&A. It's Alan Shipnuck. Alan, talk to me, my friend.
Good to see you, sir. Happy to be here.
It's good to see you, too. Yeah, it's a big week. It's a big week. All right, we'll get right into it. Our first question. Alan has talked about not liking the par 3 contest prior to the Masters proper. What are his thoughts on ANWA, drive, chip, and putt? I'm going to give you the stage here and go full Grinch about why you don't like the drive, chip, and putt.
I hate the par 3 contest. You know, when I started going to the Masters in 94.
How do you hate the par 3 contest? You are so cranky.
No, it used to be fabulous.
Oh, back in my day.
Back before it turned into romper room, like, you know, to watch the pros hit these 70, 80, 90-yard shots off a tee, the wizardry, the control was like breathtaking. And it was just a cool exhibition of skill. As soon as they started televising it and the wives and the kids are out there, you know, running around, it just is, it's too much. I love kids. I like a lot of the wives.
Seems like it, yeah.
But like, keep outside the ropes. And so, yeah, that's my issue with the par 3. It used to be really cool, and now it's kind of cringy. But I'm a huge fan of the ANWA. I think it's a great tournament. You know, I wish they played more than one round at Augusta National, but I understand why it is what it is. It certainly adds some drama to that final round that they get the stage all to themselves. And the ANWA is a home run for sure. Drive, chip, and putt, it's a great idea. I wish they would banish the parents off from the grounds and just kids only. That would be cool.
It's a little dark with the parents, like they use some helicopter parent vibes.
Helicopter parents, yeah, they give me the heebie-jeebies. But, you know, I think for a little kid to aspire to being on the stage at the 18th green at Augusta National, that's great. So I like 2 out of the 3 things we're talking about here. It's not that Grinch-like. I just think they've lost the plot with the par 3.
They've lost it. The par 3's gone. It's a, golf course is
ask Zach Johnson. He'll tell you
golf course is gone. All right, next one. I'll start with this one. Is there a consensus best snack at Augusta National? I am not a cheese guy, so I can't do the pimento cheese. For me, I like the barbecue sandwich, the little like pulled pork guys. But I would say probably. I mean, I also can't do the egg because there's a lot of dairy and stuff in that. But for me, it's the pulled pork. What about you?
Well, so I love the egg. It's the classic afternoon snack because it's cold. It's on that like spongy white bread. And then I get a few of the barbecue potato chips, stick it in there, and some Texas Pete's hot sauce and some pickles. It's like the greatest snack ever. But I'm also partial to the moon pies. You know, I've never seen a moon pie outside of the South. And so it's kind of it's like an Augusta thing for me. And they have the mini ones. It's only a couple bites. It doesn't hurt you too much.
They do. They're good with the portion control. I'll say that. You know, it's not, you can have a couple of these things and it's not, you know, I got a sandwich the other day and I got a half sandwich and it was like bigger than my head. It's nice when you can eat something that, you know, you don't feel horrendous about.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Next one. I'll let you start with this one, Alan. What hole do you forget about the most? It's probably number 7. This guy says it's not featured and it's in the middle of the course.
Well, 7 has that beautiful green.
7, I was going to say, I completely disagree. I think 7 is because of the green and all the bunkers surrounding it, and also that spot kind of to the left of 7 is the best place to watch. You could see like 2 shots on 3, on second shots on 2. So I disagree with 7. What's your forgotten hole?
Yeah, and he's probably thinking from a TV perspective. You know, on the ground, 7 is wonderful. I mean, I'm probably going to say 14. It's sandwiched between 2 very dramatic par 5s that go a long way toward determining the Masters every year. And, you know, it's a bunkerless hole. It's visually not that appealing. Now, I think the green is tremendous. The green is super cool. But, you know, on Sunday, they kind of have that funnel pin, and it's almost too easy. I mean, if guys have a pitching wedge, if they hit it within, a 10-yard circle, it's like they're going to have a 5-foot birdie putt. It just it's not really that penal of a hole, and it's kind of it's really a pushover, honestly. So I would say 14 is probably, I mean, it's definitely the most forgettable hole in the back 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to say a different hole in the back. I'm going to say 17. 14 and 17 kind of bleed together for me. And, 16 is iconic, 18 is iconic. 17, it's really difficult. So I feel like everyone's just trying to get through it. Don't feel like there's a lot of joy necessarily. So 17, sneaky, a really tough hole. That would probably be my forgotten one. All right, next one. Any idea why a special invite wasn't sent to Luke Clanton? So I don't know why. I mean, they don't. You think they have? So I posted about this saying I'm surprised that he didn't get an invite. He's on the best amateur run we've seen. Didn't win the U.S. Amateur, didn't win the NCAAs, but the best amateur since at least Ricky Fowler. And Augusta has invited players who would definitely add less juice to the tournament. And last year I think it was Neiman, Ryo Hitsatsune, and Nikolai Højgaard. And you would argue that Clanton is a bigger star, and especially because there's 7 amateurs who have qualified for the Masters. Only 5 of them are playing. 2 have turned pro. So it just seemed kind of like, add this amateur to the field. But I guess rules are rules, and they can decide. There were a couple conspiracies that he's a Florida State guy and Fred Ridley is a Florida guy, the chairman. I don't know if that's the actual reason. But I was a little surprised he didn't get the invite. What about you?
Well, all those special invites tend to be international players, and they're trying to juice international TV markets. And when you look at the special invites for Augusta, they're almost never Americans. It's part of their endless expansion kind of philosophy. And I mean, the bottom line is, as an amateur, you have a lot of avenues to get into the tournament, and Luke Clanton didn't do it. So I don't think it was personal to him. I think there's various criteria, and he did not understand the assignment. And so I think it's that simple. He's obviously a great player. He's going to have plenty of chances to play in the Masters, but I think the Green Jackets just felt like, hey, he didn't get it done when he had to.
Yeah, the best amateur is Josele Ballester, the Spanish who's playing at ASU, reigning USAM champion. He's my pick to win. No one asked, but he's my pick to win low amateur. All right, we got one about repairs. More details on the repairs, and before I want to roll this clip from Phil Mickelson talking about a repair job he saw at Augusta National.
100 yards away, this massive Georgia pine comes down, rips up the fairway, and so forth. So by the time I had walked from my tee shot into the fairway, I could hear on the walkie-talkie, get off of 2, get to 11, get off of 4, get to 11. By the time I walk off of 11 green, all the limbs of the tree have been cut off and put on a truck. By the time I got done and get back to 18T and I look down, they're resodding the fairway. Like nobody knew. You couldn't tell 2 days later this had happened.
So there's some story about a bathroom being destroyed. I think this was before my time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that might be an urban legend, but I mean, they built Berkman's place in 10 months. That was a massive construction project. I mean, a tremendous amount of infrastructure. So for Augusta National to, move out a few dead trees and plant some grass, and some sod and some new flowers, like that's a piece of cake. Like,
yeah,
they're good at
I saw some people that were like, "This is an incredible story." I was like, I don't know. It's like not the best story I've ever heard.
No. I mean, they do these they built a press room, that's like whatever, 100,000 square feet, $55 million project. They did that in 10 months. So it's a well-oiled machine there. So making a few repairs to greens and stuff ain't no thing.
Meanwhile, it's taken me 4 months to try to get an electric shade fixed on my patio. So I need whoever their contractor is. All right, we got another one. I'll take this one. I'll start with this one. Where do you see Max Homa finishing the Masters? Could the big stage Could he use the big stage to turn it on? I don't think so. I think Max Homa's going to miss the cut. More change. So Max Homa split with longtime caddy Joe Greiner. So let's rewind to last year at this time. He finishes third somewhere in there. He was on the
third. Yeah.
He was on the first page of the leaderboard.
Third.
Since then, he finished third. Since then, he's won top 10. He's changed his agent. He's changed his caddy. He's changed his clothes. He's changed his swing coach. And he's changed all of his clubs. I don't know if I said that already. It's hard to keep track. Basically, everything that a professional golfer could change, he's changed. And I'm not saying that that's the reason why. I can't say for certain. But it just seems like he's not the first guy to be playing amazing golf and then just change everything.
No, and in the whatever, Payne Stewart famously changed clubs and went into the abyss. Corey Pavin, but that was like back in the 80s and 90s when the purses were $600,000, and I could understand chasing endorsement money. Now, if you can make so much money on the golf course playing at the level that Max Homa was, who cares about another $1 million from a club manufacturer? I mean, to quote Gordon Gekko, it's like, no, it's actually
the anti-Gordon Gekko.
And how many boats can you ski behind? Exactly. Like I don't get it. Like you're getting equity grants for just not going to LIV Golf. You're in these closed shop, elevated events where you're guaranteed a check. Like, it's just astonishing that guys are still chasing money. And especially, clothes, who cares? If you want to go to Lululemon, that's fine.
Clothes is not a big deal.
But the clubs, that's really the head scratcher. And then it becomes this feedback loop where something's not, you're searching for the next answer. I hope Mrs. Homa is sleeping well at night. She's the last one standing, like in that whole inner circle. And it's rough.
You went there. We were talking about the golf. All right.
I'm just saying, like that's you fire the agent, you fire the caddy, you fire the swing coach. The tension, you see marriages end because guys are playing bad. I'm not saying that's the thing with the Homas, but it's just like these guys, they're just searching and searching and searching. And, Max just needs to rewind it 18 months. He was playing at such an incredibly high level. It's, the search is over. Just go back to doing what you were doing.
He might have changed agents before that, but it's been a new agent it's been part of this overhaul. All right, next one. I'm gonna let you take this. You've been to more than me. How would a first-time patron make most of their day at Augusta National Golf Club?
Well, it starts with you just want to get there early and walk all 18 holes. Just walk it. You don't even have to follow a particular group, but just really see the course because it's been talked about a lot. The elevation changes at Augusta National are tremendous, and they get flattened out on television. And you want to go stand behind every tee box, and you want to get as close to every green as possible. That's where it starts. Is just soak in the golf course, especially even when the holes are empty. It's just so majestic. You certainly there's like the hill on number 6. I love to sit on the hill there. You've got the 6th green and the 16th in front of you. The sun's shining. The players hitting their tee shots right over your head. That to me is a really great spot. Same with you get out there by 3 green. That's such a cool little hole. Then you watch them play 4, which is the hardest par 3 on the property. There's just these unexpected places that you don't get to really see on television. And of course, everyone's going to hang out in Amen Corner, and you go down to the dog leg at 13 fairway, and you just watch them hit those shots. You're just looking right down the chute, right behind the players. Like there's so many magical spots. You'll find those. I think it's cool to hang out behind 18 because one of the neat phenomenons of the Masters is after the players finish their rounds, they just kind of hang out. They just linger because there's no autograph seekers. There's no selfies. Like that stuff's not allowed. And so the players are relaxed. They have a little group of family and friends around them, and you can kind of sort of eavesdrop, and they're talking about their round, and it's just a totally different vibe.
Well, it's the only week all year where they know, most people there are richer than they are, so they got time for all of these people, right? Like they're not trying to rush out. And then the one thing I would add is try to spend some time. You're not going to be able to go all the way under the tree, but get to the rope where the tree is and just watch what happens, because that's where all the movers and shakers in golf, all the brands, all the agents, all the players, all the past champions, all kind of hang out. And get to Amen Corner, I would say first thing in the morning, get it out of the way. Okay. Will any of the LIV players contend this week? I'll go first. I'll say yes, probably. Rahm is got a ton to play for. Bryson's wedges looked really good yesterday. My thing is I think Phil's going to finish in the top 10. I really do. He was playing well again last week at Doral, hard golf course, windy golf course. Obviously he has some level of control with the driver. I think Phil's gonna give us a thrill this week.
I mean, sure, why not? You can never count out Phil. We know that around Augusta National. To me, the Friday forecast looms really large. How this tournament is going to play, because it's 60% chance of rain. The course will just be drying out because it got pummeled today with so much rain. And you look at the weekend temperatures are really cool. It's like high of 65, so it's not going to bake and really get that dry from the sun. So if it rains on Friday and the course is soft all weekend, then a guy like Bryson, has a monumental advantage. If the rain goes away and the course gets crispier and firmer and faster, then you've got a Phil, a Cameron Smith, guys like that step to the front of the line. So, and you didn't mention Sergio's not being talked about, but he's been playing great all year on LIV. And again, we always question what that means, but he's still got it. I mean, putting the bat on the ball, he's still one of the best in the world. And if he can putt well there, I think he's a definite dark horse.
And definitely hugely motivated to try to make it to one last Ryder Cup. All right, our last one. I'm going to let you start with this. Masters final round dream scenario. Who's in contention? What storylines?
Well, of course, we all want Rory to be there. He's playing probably the best golf of his career. He's trying to complete the Grand Slam. He's on this, decade-long drought in the majors, which is astonishing, as well as he's played everywhere else. Spieth is it seems like he's trending, right? Like, if you got a Rory,
that was mine. That was mine. Yeah, Rory versus Spieth in the back nine.
That would split the golf world because everyone's so invested in both of them. And of course, Bryson's a great anti-hero, and if he's in the mix, he adds a lot of energy and a lot of juice. And to watch him play that back nine with the chance to win the Masters would be great.
You know what? I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say Rory versus Bryson part 2 would be absolutely massive for the rivalry. And I think if Rory could get him, it would be just a movie to complete the career Grand Slam. All right, I'm so excited for this week, man. I appreciate it, Alan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good stuff. All right, our dog of the week. We hand one out every week. Dog of the week. That's an acronym, I think, for Dan on Golf. Welcome to the show. It's Scott Stallings, 3-time winner on tour. Let's bring on Mr. Scott Stallings live on the line. What's up, Scott?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? So before we get into all the the reason that we're giving you the dog of the week, your marathon training, you ever talk to the other Scott Stallings? Remember this story from a couple years ago where that guy got your Masters invite?
Yeah, every now and then we will touch base, text, and every time around, like when guys start putting their Masters invitations, like around Christmas time or whatever, it'll all start to come back. And I remember being in that hotel room in Hawaii and just like, this has got to be a joke. And sure enough, it wasn't.
The other Scott Stallings, unbelievable. So 3-time winner on tour, as I mentioned, shoulder injury. Tell me about the injury and how the recovery is going.
It's good. It was kind of 2 parts. I didn't realize how bad it was at the time. I sort of just kind of fought my way through it and sort of denial and whatever. And ended up tearing my labrum and bicep tendon on the 5th hole of the Players. Hit it in the right fairway bunker, right up against the lip. That's where I did it. And no, I was outside the bunker up against the front 7-iron, ball comes out, club doesn't. The club's laying down in the bunker, and John, who's now caddying for Phil, looks at me. He's like, "Is everything okay?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "But I can't feel my hand." And so just kind of battled that. And just tried to really figure out what that looked like. Had surgery in June, and unfortunately ended up having to have an elbow procedure on my ulnar nerve in November. So that kind of set me back a little bit. That was the one that I was trying to avoid. Anybody that's had any nerve things in their elbow would be the first to tell you. I'd rather have my shoulder done 100 times in a row than my elbow touched again. So, but we're all past that. PT and rehab's doing great. I hit 30 balls on Friday.
Okay, it's progress.
Didn't go very far. They really didn't go that straight. But they went in the air and it didn't hurt my arm, so it was a successful day.
That is a successful day. So how'd you make this decision to start training for the Boston Marathon, right? How'd you make the decision to start training?
I had a friend of mine give me a book, Steve Magnus, Do Hard Things. And, I'm a pretty self-motivated guy. And, this is the first time I've ever been injured in my career. Been super fortunate to play for a long time. And a guy said, man, I'm not telling you need to hype yourself up or anything. He said, but just an interesting book to read, different mentality, different things like that. And basically Steve had a kind of a freak injury when he was one of the guys trying to be one of the youngest people to break the 4-minute mile. He's a runner and had basically like a vocal cord malfunction while he was running. Total freak accident. And it's very, very similar to me, freak accident while I was playing, and just sort of how he used different challenges and putting himself in different things to sort of, as he was rehabbing himself to run again, and just all the learning experience that came from it. And basically between that and Endure from Alex Hutchinson, I woke up the next morning at my kid's fall break in October, and I was like, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. And my wife's like, you're ridiculous. I'm going back to bed.
How is it going so far?
It's going great. 2 weeks from today, Lord willing, I might be done about this time in 2 weeks. So I started at like 10:30. They get like a 30-minute window for the corral as far as whatever, but really looking forward to it. I'm running with the awesome charity Golf Fights Cancer. A few guys started, Jay Monahan included, in 2004, and they were very fortunate enough to extend me the opportunity to be able to run with them. And so it'll be a cool experience. I was born, 45 minutes down the road in Worcester. Half my family's in New England, and I turned 40 last week. So nice way to celebrate, coming into the next part of my life.
Well, you've transformed yourself body wise. Do you feel better? I mean, you've gotten fit before this. Do you feel better? I mean, we got some stuff about you hitting the gym pretty hard here. Do you feel like it's improved your golf, and do you feel better outside of golf than before you got fit?
Yeah, if you'd have told me at 30 I was going to be 40 and still playing on tour and running the Boston Marathon, I told you were nuts. So it's pretty cool to come on the other side of it now. I hadn't seen some of those videos in a long time. But yeah, it's you only get one of these, this body, and now on the other side of it, dealing with the injury and recovery, stuff like that. Like, don't take your life or your health for granted. Next thing you know, you end up in a lip of a fairway bunker, and you don't play for a year. So
it's Masters week, so I got to ask you, what's your favorite memory from your time at Augusta?
I got to listen to some of the other stories as far as saying exactly what Alan said. If I was going to tell someone what to do, I'd say get there early, walk the whole course, see it for what it is. But honestly, walk it from reverse. Walk 18 to 1, because then you get to see it from the side. Because most people see from where the shots are coming, you don't see where the shots are landing. And so many people can put themselves in the same spot of, like, when you see it from the green to the tee, that's sort of how we see it. Like when we walk a course for the first time, a little bit like how caddies will walk the course. And I think as a player, that's how I would want to see the golf course. And that was what I did the very first time I was there. But my very first time I was ever at Augusta playing, we had a frost delay, and they normally just everybody tees off of 1, but in weather and unique circumstances, they'll let people tee off 1 and 10. I was with Lauren Roberts on the first tee, and he was like my playing host with a group of guys from Tennessee that were very fortunate enough to take us on an awesome 2 or 3 day trip. And a gentleman walked up behind me and said, "Son, here's your first time. Let's see what you got." And it was Arnie.
Amazing.
And it was just me and Lauren Roberts and Arnie, and he stood there, 3 or 4 feet, and I hit a good tee shot, and he gave me that, little thumbs up, and, we were able to spend the evening with him, up in the clubhouse, and he got to tell some hilarious stories of, if social media was around when he was playing, we probably have a little bit different view, but he was, super gracious to me, and, just able to ask some questions, and, it was a really, really cool experience. And then come full circle, that was in November. Come play the tournament in April. And it's like, man, I was way more nervous with Arnie standing behind me than all these people I'd never seen before in my life. So, yeah, that's definitely something you'll never forget.
That's awesome. Well, you're our dog of the week. We're looking forward. I'll be tracking your 2 weeks from today. I'll be tracking it. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks so much. All right, guys, we're going to hop back in. We're going to go right back into the nuts and bolts of Augusta National. We're going to go part 2, back 9, the money 9 of Augusta National. Back with Scott Fawcett. Enjoy. 10. Everyone, this is another hole where you actually do have to hit it right to left, right? There's just not enough geometrically. You can't really fade it.
You cannot fade it on this hole. I mean, it has to be moving also. It's not tailing left. And this is, again, I decided long ago to die on the hill of one shape with the driver specifically. And this one a couple of years ago was actually listening to Scotty, and I'd never really quite placed my thumb on it other than I'm just telling you as a guy who drives it well, and what I witnessed with everyone else who drives it well, we just do the same thing. Keith Mitchell, whoever you want to name it. But Scotty, when he was on this hole, they said, why do you drop back to 3? And he's like, if I try to draw my driver, it's just going to be a knuckleball that can kind of go anywhere. And I'd never thought about the fact drivers, you don't do the 9-box drill with driver and a fitting. You're not hitting low to all the shots. You're just hitting your shot for the most part. And so they're going to fit you for 2,200 RPM at 14 degrees of launch. But now if you take that driver that was fit for that shape with a fade, if you try to draw that club, it's going to be a 1,700 RPM knuckleball. Conversely, if you've got your driver built to draw and you try to fade it, it's going to be kind of a spinny flare. And that's what I don't think that people historically, with balls being spinnier and no club fitting, we're talking 30 plus years ago. Yes, draws went further, but it's not because it's got top spin, it rolls out. No, it just had less spin. So when balls were spinnier, having less spin was a good thing because it was still technically too much spin. It was still.
I see it all the time. Like I'm always astounded at how far, like a Wyndham Clark, how far that cut goes. It's not shorter. Or Aldrich Potgieter, same thing. Minwoo Lee hits like a flat cut. Like that shot. I was talking to Adam Scott about this. Like that shot used to lose a lot of distance. It just doesn't anymore.
That shot didn't exist before.
Yeah.
You didn't hit a flat cut. I mean, and that's, again, really the key to all of this is you've now optimized launch from ball and club fitting to where I don't care what the shape is, it's launching, again, making up numbers, but they are 14 degrees and 2,200 RPM at 175 ball speed. So shape is literally irrelevant once you fit the driver correctly. And that's when someone goes and buys a new driver, you're like, I picked up 30 yards with my new club. It's not because the new club's amazing. It's because your old club was not fit for you.
Right. All right. 11's a pretty simple tee shot. Talk to me about the second shot here.
Second shot, you can just see that decade target laid out there to the right. Again, you just have to recognize we've got a reality of a wide shot pattern from 200 yards. It just is what it is. I don't care if you draw it. I'm going to draw it around this lake. I don't care if you fade it. You still have the same footprint. And so just accepting that my target to almost any pin is kind of the right middle of the green directionally. Sure, the further we get back, we can start going further left simply because we're going to carry it further. That's the diagonal nature of the front edge of the green. But that's why you don't see people win that tournament that hit it in the water left. You do see people win that tournament getting it up and down from right.
Yeah, I think about Tiger always bailing out there, and Ludwig. I mean, his challenge to Scotty died last year when he hit it in the water. 12, one of the most famous par threes in the world. What's the approach?
I mean, this is one that's funny. Like, I haven't changed this slide literally since the first player had the Masters in 2016. Like, it's just unbelievable how obvious the middle of that bunker is. And so with irons, a right-handed player's shot pattern is going to tilt long left to short right. I don't care if you fade it or draw it. By definition, the left side of your shot pattern is where you squared or closed your face more to your path.
Everyone knows that, right? Yeah, that's everyone that's played golf can experience that. If you hit one left, it goes further.
Yeah, it goes further. The flares are out short right. So what's funny is the year that Jordan made his quad, he said that he was standing over it and he just felt so good that he just thought he would push it over to that right pin. So he's literally trying to push it into the long right portion of his shot pattern. Like, that doesn't exist. At least when Molinari and those guys, like, at least Molinari hit an 8 right at it. Still a bad idea, but he had the right club. Jordan is trying to flare it long right. It's
not going to happen.
Literally not how it works. And so really understanding that, and it's just bonkers when you look at Tiger, just steps up that year, dead center of the green. I was fortunate enough to play this course one time, and I'm not going to say it's an easy shot to the middle of the green, but it's also not a hard shot. I mean, You've got a lot of room to work with, dead center that green, pretty much to any pin, because even if the pin's on the front left, our tugs are going to be in the azaleas long left. It's just middle of the green and 2-putt this thing all day. Again, average score is always over 3. We're picking up against the field average.
And this is what, I've done your program, and this is one thing that you've always said is that like Tiger kind of did decade intuitively. And so he would always talk about middle of the bunker, just middle of the bunker. It's not even a decision.
I literally got a text from Max Grazerman this morning saying he had just, for whatever reason, spent an hour and a half with Jack Nicklaus. I'm like, that's a text I did. And he's like, dude, listening to him, he was just preaching decade.
Yeah, and I love Max. One of the fellow Ashkenazi Jews on the PGA Tour. We love that guy.
Well, it's funny because the other thing that I'll add is like some of the people that I've got a lot of heat from in the past, like no laying up, they're just like, this is common sense. I'm like, then why doesn't everybody do it? You can't have two guys, Jack and Tiger, that are known universally as the best course managers ever if it's common sense. No one's better at 1+1 than someone else. Like, That's common sense. There is an art to this. And, I'm not pitching decade here, but that's what you can just learn so easily now without needing the decade of experience. I mean, 13. This hole they've added some length to. How does it change, and why do we have the big writing in red there? I don't necessarily like this hole being that long. It's a really difficult second shot with the ball hanging above your feet. I do like the guys being able to kind of be challenged to turn 3-wood or something, or be dumb and turn driver around the corner. Just having it to where everybody's kind of hitting it driver out there and then leaving themselves 230 or whatever. I haven't watched it closely enough to really remember how they played recently, but I like it shorter and a little bit more dangerous. But your question about the red is patience and discipline wins majors. This is just a shot where you just got to step and hit a good shot. And if you don't, you need to take your medicine and just lay it up to 60 or 70 yards. It's not the end of the world. Scoring average of 4.76. It means if you can get it to 80 yards in the fairway on the PGA Tour, that's where they average 4.75. So like if anything goes wrong, we can't put it in the water left. So we are aiming it far enough right that the trees are in play. And if we put it in the trees, I understand Mickelson hit the hero shot from the pine straws and whatever. He's also a unicorn. Probably a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Nico on the show yesterday, Nico Echeverria, and he was saying he's just going to lay up. He's like, I just don't think I can get it far enough. He was like, he went and played for the first time. He couldn't believe how long this hole was playing.
Well, and that's the funny thing about when you'll hear it this year too. Zach Johnson won the Masters without going for a single par 5. An important footnote to that statement is nobody went for the par 5s that week. It was a miserable week. It was cold and rainy, and he didn't win it at 20 under like DJ did. When Zach Johnson won, he won the Masters at 1 over par. So saying he laid up for all the par 5s is like, yeah, it's not because he laid up on the par 5s. It's because everybody else laid up on the par 5s that he won.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 14 is pretty simple. It's just kind of probably the most meh hole at Augusta. No bunkers.
One thing that I would add before we move on, though, from 12 and 13 is the Masters is the one tournament, like literally even just tournament, that has been won disproportionately by lefties. Mm-hmm. Bob Charles, Mike Weir, Bubba, Phil. Like if you look at the percentage of left-handed wins, it's off the charts compared to any other course. And holes like 12, 13, those tee shots, there's nowhere that you just kind of have to cut it except for 18.
Right. It's all diagonal like this, all with the second shots.
There's all of those tee shots. And so the pull on 12, hey, it's pretty convenient that that's where the hole happens to be. And the same thing on 13. It's just this golf course really, really, really favors left-handed players. And the results speak to that.
Yeah. All right. 14, pretty meh, just mass driver. 15, decision time with the second shot. How do you walk your guys through this?
I believe that if you've got an iron, okay, and anything with bulge and roll is a layup. Hybrid, 5-wood, 3-wood. It's just there's not enough.
Spinning too little?
It's spinning too little, but you've only got about 10 yards of distance control to land it in. So if you don't land it in far enough, it's going to come back in the water. And if you land it long like Hideki did, it's going to go long in the water. Like, people land a 5-iron long and it doesn't go in the water, but you don't land a 3-wood or a hybrid or anything else long and it not get into a serious problem. And now you want to talk about a chip shot. There's a number of things people always say, you can't appreciate this hole unless you see it. You can't appreciate what chipping up that hill and then down that green looks like unless you've been there. It's like you're not flying it on, and bumping it up there, it is just dead. And so, yeah, this is a spot. Again, I like this hole shorter also. I'm definitely let's shoot low. Like, this is the one tournament a year that I'm like, yeah, it's a major, and let's go make some birdies and eagles and get the back nine. I mean, that's, again, unless you've been there, the back nine is just, it really does just play back and forth all over each other right there.
It's cool.
It's so cool. And to get the roars going there. But yeah, if you've got realistically 220, let's call it, rather than just saying a flat faced iron because of how far these guys hit the ball, anything outside of that, I don't think it's necessary to go for it. I mean, again,
16. Yeah.
I was just saying, you just look at Hideki and, that was just so unnecessary. I mean, let alone the fact he had a 4-shot lead. But what Zalatoris told me that year is there's just not great signage out there on the back nine where you really know where you stand.
Yeah, it's great. It's like going back in time. There's no like digital scoreboard, so it can be laid and you can't see it.
Because that's what I asked Will. I'm like, did you know where you stood? He's like, I had a pretty good idea that I was in decent shape, but I had no idea. And then, he was on 17T, I believe, when that happened, he said. And he's just like, I didn't know what he made, but like, game on, man.
Yeah. All right, 17. You should keep it out of the tree 70-75% because it's wide enough.
I would talk about 16 first, because I think that 16 with that Sunday pin is interesting. Yes, they're using the slope to feed it down to the pin, but proper course management, they would be hitting it there anyways. Like the proper target for Decade is literally the dead center of that slope. Like, so we want to be about 9 yards from the edge of the green, about 3 more yards. That's literally the center slope. That's where they should be hitting it anyways. Tiger in 2016, when he nearly makes the ace, yes, he used the slope to hit it close, but if that slope wasn't there, he still would have been trying to hit it to the same place. And I think that's really important for people to know and understand. It's just a convenience factor than what we're trying to actually do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funnel pin. All right, 17.
I mean, just send it. There's just, again, what's the alternative? I mean, send it 100% of the time.
Yeah. 18, the finisher. We know about the shoot here. How do you walk your guys through this one?
It is so narrow back there. And again, this is one, the majority of guys do play fades, so it just sets up perfect for them. But just as a joke, I mean, literally just get it through the shoot. I mean, that's why I say this is an accidental duplication number 17. There's just fire driver. I disagreed, honestly, with Tiger, other than the fact that he does hit some foul balls with driver. When he went back to 3-wood in 2019, I felt like that just brought way more.
He did make a bogey. He made a bogey.
Yeah, I mean, he made a bogey, but I thought it brought double into play more than driver does. Sure, driver can go through and into the bunkers, but then we can just lay it out relatively easier. I mean, not getting it around that corner is a pretty big mistake. So it's so, again, back to just like this course playing easier. This is the tough one, because if you remember when Tiger won in his first one, 96, he just blew it over the bunkers into
97. Yeah, it was before. Yeah, he blew it into like almost like the 9th fairway, I think.
Yeah, it was just like nothing out there. Like it's just this like triangle of nothingness out there between 9 and 18, and just fired. I mean, I wouldn't stand there if I was a spectator. I can assure you that. You might take one right in the bean.
And so, in summary, how would you describe Augusta as a golf course and the test it provides versus other courses?
I love it. Obviously, it's the one major I grew up really enjoying. But as far as strategy, it's just bang driver on every single hole, except for the ones that don't fit your shape. I mean, and so Bryson coming up on 18, he's got a challenge on this hole. It's what's so interesting too with Rory, how he messed up number 10 that one year. Like that hole should just fit his life.
That's called nerves. Yeah.
Did he hit driver or 3-wood? I don't know.
No, he hit 3-wood rope.
Yeah, I mean, that he doesn't need help drawing it. He should just be roasting driver out there. It's interesting because I never really thought about going back and looking at it, but when I did, I was like, I can't imagine him hitting a driver with that much hook. It totally makes sense that it was a 3-wood. He's really trying to swing. It's kind of like when JT hits that roaster on 16 and 18 at the Players. It's like, can you just hit a normal 3-wood out there? Like,
so you're saying it's really not that much strategy.
don't want to get in trouble with Augusta, but it's really not. I mean, it's really not. There's not much to it. And again, that doesn't mean this is where the GCA's hate.
We're talking we're talking a lot about like the longer shots. The short game shots is sort of a different conversation.
100%. But even still, what I was about to say is even still, like, what was perceived as really artsy back in the day of all these, you got to leave it in these quadrants and these positions on the greens. Once we really understand the absolute size of shot patterns, it's just not really as interesting as you would have historically thought. The idea of the best putters are going to win here, that's because the best putters have the best speed control. And so a guy like Zalatoris, who's had great success there all the time, even though he's not a great putter, he's got immaculate speed control. And so he is a force at a course like this because A, he stripes it, and B, he lags it really well. And when everyone else is forced to become great lag putters, he's going to beat them.
So it's playing to the right spots mathematically, and then you got to be a good lag putter because of all the slope in the greens.
I mean, and it's just golf 101. Drive it really well and lag putt it really well. Like,
there it is. Couldn't have said it any better myself.
That's golf.
Well, good stuff, Scott. I appreciate it as always. Decade, everyone, if you want to get smarter at golf, that's where you go. Thanks so much, man.
Anytime, buddy.
Now you know the course. You already knew the course. It's one of the great things about Augusta is that everyone's got their own opinions on how to play the course, right? Like what Jason Day says and Scott Fawcett. Everyone thinks they know how they would do when they're out there. All right, we're going to move on to chirps from the gallery. I love the internet. You guys crack me up every single week. We're going to start with this notion of LIV Golf as a startup. Here's Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka.
Look, I mean, it's a startup, right? It's still 4 years in, and we're working towards what we've always believed in this league is team golf, and we're still individuals playing, stroke play events, but there's a team component, which is really cool. It's just another business vertical. It's another opportunity for us, and I personally like it. I'm happy with kind of where it's at. I think there's always going to be improvements, just like any business, just like anything, whatever side you're on, but there definitely needs to be some continued thought around what LIV Golf is doing for the global game of golf.
I think we all hoped it would have been a little bit further along. And that's no secret. No matter where you're at, you always hope everything's further along. But they're making progress, and it seems to be going in the right direction.
So I have a few thoughts on this. Number one, there's a big difference in how Bryson DeChambeau talks about LIV and how Brooks Koepka talks about LIV. Right? Bryson's bought in. He's the business verticals. It's a startup, which this is not, this is what we had on the screen was a tweet from John Nucci. It said, LIV is not Bill Gates founding Microsoft out of his parents' garage or Mark Zuckerberg founding Facebook in a dorm room. A startup cannot light a few $1 billion on fire without blinking an eye. And I agree. Like this is not like a cutesy little startup. They have an incredibly long runway, considering what they've delivered, which is not that much. But I feel like it's Bryson seems to be like bought in and invested in this, and Brooks, he said they're making progress about LIV, not we're making progress. I wish it was further along. This is after he said the contractual negotiation. They asked him about his future. He said I have a contractual obligation that I've got to fill out here. So we'll see how it goes with Brooks Koepka. All right, next we have this from Gary Player, who says the Open is by far the greatest golf tournament on the planet. I rate the Open at 1, the U.S. Open at 2, PGA 3, Augusta 4. Now, I wonder why Gary Player feels this way. Perhaps it's because his son got in trouble for trying to do guerrilla marketing during the first tee ceremony a couple of years ago. You remember that? They were doing the first tee ceremony, and his son had like I think it was some golf balls, and he was holding it like this. That's just not even sly about it. But I want to get back to the bit about where he ranks the majors, because I'm going to hit the honesty button again. I want everyone to be ready for this. I'm going to hit the honesty button again. The U.S. Open is my favorite major. I know. Masters week. I love the Masters. It's like, which one of your children? You love them all, but you like one more than the rest. U.S. Open for me. I love the stories that come out of it. I love how gritty it is. I love that it's at different golf courses. I'm very excited for the Masters week. But Gary Player ranking the Masters 4th out of 4, that feels like trolling. That just feels like trolling. Okay. CP, Chris Powers, making an appearance after a long layoff. This was I felt like encapsulated a lot of people who said, I watched LIV this weekend for the first time. Watching LIV ending, filthy par from Leishman 19. I'd say he's live next week, but Sergio shrinking back at the tee per usual. Also, how are you complaining about some sound in your backswing on LIV? Can we be serious for a second here? Yeah, I feel like that's part of the deal. That is part of the deal. I mean, Mark Leishman was given kind of an emotional interview and it's in the background. All right, our last one. I love this one. So we do preview dog of the week on our show, and this clip went, it did pretty well, so it got to a lot of different audiences. And Mr. Cheezel wants to know, where the fuck was the dog? It's fair. We probably should incorporate more dogs in our dog of the week. All right, we're going to leave you with a clip of the week. I got to get to the airport. I got to get to Augusta National. I have so much FOMO. I'm so anxious to get there. So let's get in the Masters mood with Jack Nicklaus stepping up at Valero and doing Jack Nicklaus things. I'm off to Augusta National. I can't wait. We're going to do another show tomorrow. Some more stuff later this week. I love you guys. See you next week. Actually, see you later this week.
Now, I have no idea what this putt's going to do. Never been here. But I would look at this. I'd see this hill here. Looks like it's going to move off that way. I don't, unless the grade turns it back, I would say that this putt probably goes a couple inches to the right. Maybe not quite that much. Champion usually doesn't break as much as some of the other grasses. It's a little bit uphill right here, but that's maybe a little deceiving because that's downhill. So we'll just sort of try to compromise somewhere in the middle, see where it is.
Oh, come on.
So, well, anyway, that's how you read grades.
Thank you very much.